Some people say tattoos are permanent decisions you should never take lightly. I used to roll my eyes at that advice, but now I understand why it exists. My name is Claire, I'm 29 years old, and what started as an attempt to save my marriage ended up rewriting my entire life in ways I never saw coming. Before we dive into this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get into it. I had been with my husband, Daniel, for 5 years, married for 3 of them. On the surface, everything looked solid. We had our cozy apartment, our familiar routines, our Friday night takeout tradition. I thought we were building something lasting. But beneath all that stability, there was one conflict that kept surfacing. And looking back, maybe I should have paid more attention to why Daniel was so firmly against it. It began shortly after our engagement party. I was swept up in all the wedding excitement, thinking about ways to strengthen our bond. That's when I suggested we get matching tattoos, something small and meaningful, just for the 2 of us. Daniel's reaction was immediate and harsh. He didn't even glance up from his phone before saying, "That's the dumbest idea I've ever heard." No pause, no consideration, just total dismissal. I tried to explain it. Didn't he have to be anything extreme, maybe our anniversary date or our initials intertwined? But he shut me down again. "I don't have anything against tattoos, I just don't want one," he said, as though that was the end of the conversation. Except for me, it wasn't. The thought stayed with me. I kept imagining how special it would feel to carry a permanent symbol of our love on our skin. Every few months I'd bring it up again, hoping he'd warm to the idea. Each time, his no grew sharper, his tone colder. He'd even say my name in this irritated way that made me feel like a child being scolded. What stung most wasn't just the refusal, it was the way he made my feelings seem trivial. Marriage, to me, was supposed to be about compromise, about doing things for each other, even if it wasn't your first choice. But Daniel treated my request like it was beneath him, like my desire for a shared experience wasn't worth his effort. So resentment built quietly inside me. I'd compromised on where we lived, how we spent holidays with his family, even on little day-to-day choices. But when it came to one thing I deeply wanted, he wouldn't even bend. Then, everything shifted when I was transferred to a new department at work. The team was more relaxed, more creative. That's where I met Marcus. He was in his early 30s, and the first thing you noticed about him was his tattoos. His entire left arm was a detailed tapestry, trees, symbols, animals, each design carrying a piece of his story. At our first team lunch, I couldn't help but ask about them, and Marcus lit up instantly. He explained each image with such passion, like someone describing a masterpiece. To him, tattoos weren't about rebellion or trends, they were about self-expression and commemorating life's milestones. Listening to him, I felt seen in a way I hadn't with Daniel. Over the weeks, Marcus and I started eating lunch together often. He remembered details I mentioned, asked about my day, and genuinely seemed to care. When I finally admitted my husband's dismissive attitude about tattoos, Marcus just shook his head. "Some people don't get it," he said softly. "It's not about ink on skin, it's about honoring moments that matter." That struck me deeply. For the first time, someone validated the feelings Daniel had brushed off for years. When I told Marcus about my matching tattoo idea and how Daniel refused, Marcus didn't laugh or dismiss me. Instead, he said, "A real partner wouldn't be afraid of something so small, especially if it mattered that much to you." His words sank into me like truth I had been avoiding. Marcus began showing me photos of couples' tattoos, beautiful pieces celebrating love and unity. "These people are creating something permanent together," he said one afternoon. "They're saying, this person matters so much, I'll carry them with me forever." His perspective felt like the support I'd been craving. While Daniel rolled his eyes, Marcus encouraged me. While Daniel brushed me off, Marcus made me feel understood. I started looking forward to work more than home, drawn to the way Marcus treated my dreams with respect. At home, Daniel noticed the change. He asked about my lunches, about why I seemed brighter when I came back from work. But instead of being happy for me, his questions dripped with suspicion. When I mentioned Marcus's name, Daniel sneered. "Oh, the guy with the tattoos. Bet he just loves your little tattoo idea." His sarcasm made my blood boil. Even when I found happiness outside of him, he managed to twist it into something ugly. That night, I decided I was done waiting for Daniel's approval. I was going to do this for myself. The following evening, I met Marcus at a tattoo studio he recommended Tinkhaven. Walking in felt like entering a different universe. Walls covered in art, machines buzzing, people turning their stories into living canvases. Marcus introduced me to Leo, his tattoo artist, a calm and skilled man whose portfolio radiated beauty. I told Leo I wanted something symbolizing strength and independence. His eyes lit up. He showed me 2 Chinese calligraphy symbols that embodied exactly what I described. They were elegant, bold, and powerful. I felt an immediate connection to them, but then Marcus leaned in and suggested softly, "You should add something personal. Something that marks this exact moment of growth." Without thinking too long, I blurted out, "What about initials? MW." I can't fully explain why I said it. Maybe it was gratitude, maybe rebellion, maybe something deeper I didn't want to admit. But when Marcus smiled, visibly touched, I didn't back down. So under those Chinese symbols, Leo inked Marcus's initials. And just like that, the tattoo stopped being only about strength. It became about Marcus, about having someone in my life who stood beside me when Daniel refused. Marcus held my hand through the process, encouraged me, told me I was brave. When it was over, I looked in the mirror and saw a different woman. A woman who had taken control of her own story. Driving home, my heart raced. This secret burned beneath my sleeve, and I felt alive. When I walked through the door, Daniel was on the couch, as always, watching TV. "How was shopping?" he asked casually. I rolled up my sleeve. The silence that followed was suffocating. Daniel's eyes fixed on the tattoo, moving from the symbols to the small letters beneath them. "What are those initials, Claire?" he finally asked, his voice low. I met his stare and said, "They're Marcus's. He supported me through this, when you wouldn't." His face went pale. "You tattooed another man's name on your body," he whispered, almost too quiet to hear. I tried to explain that it wasn't about betrayal, but about feeling supported. He didn't see it that way. To him, it was proof that I had disrespected him beyond repair. His words cut deep. "You need to get them removed." That was the breaking point. After years of refusing to even consider a tattoo with me, he was suddenly demanding control of my body. I fired back. "You had your chance. You said no." I found someone who wasn't afraid of commitment. His expression hardened like stone. 2 weeks later, Daniel filed for divorce. The process was cold and distant. He treated me like a stranger, like we were dividing office supplies instead of dismantling a life we'd built together. When it was finalized, I thought maybe he'd calm down, maybe we'd talk. Instead, he called me one evening just to say, "I finally got a tattoo, the date of our divorce, to symbolize strength and independence." Then he hung up. That broke me in a way nothing else had. Months later, I learned Daniel was seeing someone new, an outdoorsy woman, who seemed to make him happy. Around the same time, Marcus's wife discovered our text exchanges and put an end to our friendship with the fury of a storm. She even called my workplace to ensure there would be no further contact. Suddenly, I was left alone with my choices, divorced, isolated, with another man's initials permanently etched into my skin. My tattoo, once meant to symbolize empowerment, became a reminder of my mistakes. My family tried to be supportive, but I could see the disappointment in their eyes. Even my coworkers viewed me differently, like I had become a cautionary tale. And the truth is, the loneliness was unbearable. I told myself the tattoo was about independence, but deep down, I had just been desperate for validation, for someone to prove I mattered. And in chasing that, I lost everything. Now, at 29, I sit in a small studio apartment with a story I can't erase. The Chinese characters still whisper strength and independence, but Marcus's initials scream the truth. I let temporary emotions make permanent decisions. Do I regret it? Yes and no. I regret the pain it caused, the destruction of my marriage, the friendships I lost. But I don't regret finally choosing myself, even if I chose wrong. Because in the end, maybe that's the real lesson. Strength isn't about burning your life down to prove a point. It's about learning to live with your mistakes, carrying the scars inked or not, and finding a way to move forward. And that's what I'm trying to do.